So in this video, we are going to go through a majority of the North Side neighborhoods here in the city of Chicago. If you are making a move to the city and don't know where you're gonna end up, this video is going to be a high overview of a majority of the North Side neighborhoods, and we're gonna give you the pros, the cons, what to expect in each of these neighborhoods. So if this is your first time to our page, please like, comment, and subscribe to know about all things Chicago. The good, the bad, the lifestyle, the food, the fun, the neighborhoods, everything. We're super, super excited about living here. Now, my name is Samuel Shahan. I am a local real estate broker with the Chicago lifestyle team with App Properties. And I love our town, and I'm super excited to walk you through what each neighborhood entails, because in the city of Chicago, there are 78 different unique neighborhoods, and that is not including any of the micro neighborhoods. So this is your high overview of the North Side neighborhoods. If you want, feel free to reach out to me via text, call, and then what we can do is we can set up an individual Zoom meeting to walk you through which neighborhoods in a more detailed version work better for you. Now, here we are going to deep dive into all the different neighborhoods that Chicago has to offer. So let's jump into my computer and let's go and start with the basics. Downtown. All right, so we are actually going to be diving into our map of the city of Chicago. Now, Chicago is a huge city, and as you come to love it, know it, everything, it does get really small. But when I first moved to Chicago, and this was back in 2007, I went on the internet trying to find an apartment, my very first apartment out of the state. Did not know all the different neighborhoods, so I literally was looking all up and down along the lake, even though I needed to be on the west side near UIC, which was the college I was going to. So I'm going to give you again a high overview of all the different types of neighborhoods. Let's start south and go north. Of all the important neighborhoods that we kind of focus on. We're not going to go into micro neighborhoods or anything like that, but just kind of give you the pros and cons of what each neighborhood is. So we're going to go down to South Loop. South Loop is going to be just south of the Loop. It is really in this general vicinity where it says South Loop, Dearborn Park, near South Side. This is all considered South Loop. The South Loop is awesome for the fact that there are kind of two different sections, almost kind of three different sections of this neighborhood. You kind of have the north side of South Loop, which is just south of the Loop. This is going to be very high-rise orientated. It's going to be really kind of packed in, which is really kind of nice. Then you're gonna have the mid area, which is kind of this near south side, which is residential, but you still have high rises. It's gonna give you that downtown feel, but it's gonna be a little bit sleepier, which is what a lot of people really like about it. And then you also have the south end, which is kind of where Motor Row is. This is where all the cars used to be sold. It was the car district. It is now becoming an entertainment hub, which is this Motor Row down here. There's still a couple apartment or condo buildings that are going to be down there available for you. There's a lot of lofts. So if you like lofts and that loft aesthetic, South Loop is a really great place to be. Now, there's not a ton going on down here. It is a little bit on the sleepier side, but there are some really good, tried and true restaurants and shopping that are coming into this area. It used to be all parking lots, and over the last 20 years, we've seen a lot of development. Now, during the Great Recession, this neighborhood got hit really hard, so it's a very affordable neighborhood to kind of live in. If you're looking for a lot of space, if you're looking for a newer product, a newer house, or condo, as well as getting that price per square foot. It's a really nice thing. There are a couple really great luxury buildings down here as well. You also are going to probably find some townhomes as well as some single family homes. There is this historic district, which is right down here on Prairie Street, which is awesome. But a lot of people really like the South Loop because you do have access to Museum Campus. Museum Campus is where the Shedd Aquarium is going to be, the Field Museum. It's going to have Soldier Field. This is where the Bears play. They will probably move here in a little bit. They're talking about opening up a new stadium just south of it, and then the Adler Planetarium. The other great thing about it is you have Marley Island, which is a concert venue. It used to be our old airport, but Richard Daley had actually turned it into something else and turned it into this like nature preserve. You have Burnham Harbor right here, which is awesome. It is one of the better harbors along Lake Michigan, which is really great as well. There is an 18th Street bridge that goes right here. So right there, that's how you get over to all of this fun green space essentially. Now, the South Loop has a lot of transportation. So you have the Cermak Green Line right here. You also have, which is where Chinatown is, but then you also do have access to the Red Line at Cermak Chinatown, which is the Red Line. This is kind of like the South End. Reggie's is actually a really kind of like fun hotspot. They have a really great roof deck. They actually have surprisingly good food, so also check them out as well. On the north side of South Loop, you have Roosevelt, and Roosevelt is where a lot of like this is where the Roosevelt Red Line is going to be. It's also going to be the Green Line as well as the Orange Line. So 3 train stops right here. Awesome. You have a lot of green space. So you'll see a lot of these like cute little parks all around. One of my favorite dog parks in the entire city is this Anderson Fred Park. That's where we take my dog Rodeo. We drive down, we park right there, and it's awesome. The north side of South Loop is where it's going to be really kind of busy. You also have the Harrison Red Line stop. This is a micro neighborhood of, this is going to be considered a micro neighborhood of South Loop. This entire area where you see Roots right here, you see the Cooper, the L, which these are all rental buildings, but you do have a couple other really great condo buildings in this neighborhood as well. This neighborhood, this sub-neighborhood is called Printers Row. A lot of people really also like this one museum park. This is a multi-condo building, like kind of like area that is amazing. During the Great Recession, Related Realty actually took these over and they redid all of it. It is phenomenal, very high-end luxury buildings. The other thing that a lot of people really like about it is you just have access to Grant Park as well as going up to Millennium Park. The Buckingham Fountain right here is awesome. It's a very big staple in the city of Chicago. The other area that I always talk about is Pilsen and Tri-Taylor. This is another different kind of neighborhood. This is where the UIC area kind of is. It's really popular. It's kind of like broken down into a couple sections. So Pilsen and East Pilsen is a very like Hispanic orientated neighborhood, which was awesome. So you get really great Mexican food, especially if you're on 18th Street. There's a lot of restaurants that are popping up along 18th Street that are tried and true. A lot of people really like it. Pilsen is actually becoming a very big hot hub. A lot of it has to do with the fact that you do have a lot of the train lines. Pilsen has Talia Hall, which is a really great music venue. It's really fun. I went to actually a Broadway Carols play down there for a Christmas pageant a couple of years ago, and it's just really fun. They have some really great food and restaurants down there as well, including a lot of the Mexican restaurants, but SKY, which is kind of like a tasting menu, they're down there as well. The thing about Pilsen that I do say is it's not a lot of tree-lined streets, so it sometimes lacks some of that, but it's going to be a very urban feel. So some people really, really like that. A lot of the artist community is kind of moving down there just because the pricing is really low. Now, the one thing I do say about Pilsen is, or even if you're looking to try Taylor, the home product is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the other areas in the city. You are starting to see a lot of new construction coming in, and so that is an opportunity, but you'll see a lot of smaller, like cottage single family homes. You're going to see some condos, and then you're also going to find a lot of multifamily homes. Access to kind of pretty much everything, which is really great. You do also have like the orange line, which is pretty close right here where it says Halstead. But you also have the pink line, which a lot of people really like. This, the National Museum of Mexican Art is right here. There's a lot of things kind of going into this neighborhood, as well as this cute little park, the Harrison Park, that's right there. Kind of really fun. And again, it's right along 18th Street. Now, if you go a little bit further north, which is kind of our Tri-Taylor area, Tri-Taylor is where UIC is. So this is where my alma mater was, which is really kind of fun. It actually is the old Little Italy. So you are going to have tried and true Italian food, generational own, which is awesome as well. So you kind of get the Latino flavors in Pilsen, and then you go just a couple blocks north and you are literally in the heart of Italian country, which is great. Because it is a university area, there's a lot of great investment properties that you can purchase around here. It does have a lot of smaller units. There are a couple of really great buildings. So over here by like this Halstead neighborhood, there's a big townhome complex that they built, which is incredible. And then you can come over in here. This is Lincoln Park Commons. If you see like a street view, it is so freaking cute. These actually used to be the freezer. Like, let's go here. But these used to be old school, like, markets. And so they are like incredible. They're really fun condos. I really love them. But there is a lot going on down here. For walking your dog, it is like literally one of the best neighborhoods. A lot of people really like that area just to kind of like walk around in. But then again, you have Taylor Street. So Taylor Street is right here where we see JRB, the Starbucks, all of this. That is going to be Pompeii. Pompeii has been around forever. It's a great multi-generational Italian restaurant. So this is kind of where all of this is. And then there's a lot of like just condos in this neighborhood. There's a couple townhomes that you can find as well. All right, so let's zoom out. All right, so moving north, let's go to West Loop. West Loop is actually one of the hottest neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. This is where everyone kind of wants to live right now at this moment. It is getting actually pretty expensive to live in, so do mind that. But you can find a lot of different types of product in this neighborhood. This neighborhood actually used to be very full of warehouses. If you remember back in the 90s and the early 2000s, Oprah's Harpo Studios used to be in the neighborhood, and now it is really flagged by restaurants. It's local shopping. It is kind of like the old meat packing district is being revitalized right now. It is super, super fun and fast paced. So the one thing that I do say about West Loop is it is kind of like its own little hub. Most people who live in West Loop don't venture out to many different neighborhoods, and it is kind of like a destination, but it is definitely a destination worth checking out. Randolph Street right here is kind of considered Restaurant Row. This is where Stephanie Eisgard started her Girl in the Goat restaurant. She has kind of flagged it, and once like that kind of came in, there's a lot of other different amazing restaurants. Really high-end chefs are coming into this neighborhood and kind of like solidifying this area as a true foodie destination. Now, you have really great school districts in this area, which is awesome. You have Skinner Elementary School, which is one of the top elementary schools. Also, McDonald's, their headquarters came in, as well as Google moved their headquarters from River North a while back, a couple of years ago. And so this two major headquarter companies shifted from River North or the suburbs and kind of landed in this neighborhood, and it has exploded. A lot of people like being around this NB Park, which is really beautiful. There's a dog park there. There's kind of just like open grass, and a lot of people you're probably gonna see the quintessential, let's see if I can find a picture of it. But if you've seen these little hoops, this is iconic Chicago. This is what people really enjoy. But there is a family park, and then, like I said, a dog park right there. So it gives you a lot of things. Now, a lot of people really also like Madison Street. That's right here. This goes all the way down to United Center. So if you're a NHL fan, if you're an NBA fan, the Bulls and the Blackhawks do play there, which is pretty cool. Now, Madison Street is where it's like quaint, cute shopping. That is all I can say. It is like mom and pop, like venues, really adorable. It gives you kind of like that really strong neighborhood feel. Now, the cool thing about West Loop is in a majority of the West Loop, you can only build up to 10 stories tall. So it really creates this dynamic, very signature look to the neighborhood. So they don't want a lot of high rises coming in. Now, if you are a high rise connoisseur, you can always find them over on the east side of West Loop. So West Loop kind of starts at the river and goes west all the way over to like Ashland Avenue. This area is going to be where a lot of more high-rise buildings are going to be. So if you're looking for something like that, as well as this Fulton River district, there's a lot of high-rises that are going to be right there. There's a couple of loft buildings as well. If you're looking for a classic timber loft, that is going to be a really great opportunity. But the West Loop is actually kind of really known also for the brand new construction that's been coming up. In the city of Chicago, we don't see a ton of new construction, so there are opportunities for that. Now, if you're looking for new construction, they're going to be larger products. So you're going to look at like 3 bedrooms plus. All right, let's head over to the Loop. So the Loop is our kind of like downtown financial hub. This is where all the high rises are going to be. There's hotels. This is what most tourists are going to think of, either the Loop or they're going to think of, River North. The Loop does get sleepy at night. There's not a ton of residential buildings in this neighborhood, so it's going to be a little bit sparse if you're looking for it. There are a couple luxury high-rises that are going to be close to Michigan Avenue, which give you views of the park, as well as views as downtown. Now, quintessential monument or thing is this Willis Tower. Everyone knows it. It is one of the tallest buildings in the world. It actually started off as, I think, the tallest, but that is iconic Chicago. You cannot look at the Chicago skyline and not think of the Willis Tower, or what we always call the Sears Tower. Now, The thing that I like about the loop is south of the river is actually what we call the Cultural Mile. Going north of it is going to be the Magnificent Mile. The Cultural Mile is going to have a bunch of different theater. So this is going to be the Chicago Theater, which a lot of people know as the iconic, hopefully it clicks through, the iconic Chicago sign. That's gonna be the Chicago Theater. This is on State Street. State Street is our actual second kind of shopping district if you're looking in just the downtown area. Now, if you're looking for properties over here, there are a couple. They're, like I said, they're gonna typically be in this Grand or Millennium Park kind of area. There are a couple other ones that are gonna range over here next to Wells Street. There are a couple high-rise buildings that were converted or built in the 2000s. Now, most people, if you're going to live in the Loop, are going to end up in Lakeshore East, which is our kind of like a micro neighborhood of the Loop. This is where you're going to find the Aqua building. So if you're familiar with that, this is it's the wavy kind of building that everyone quintessentially knows. As well, it was built probably about 15 years ago, back in 2009. Now this is a newer neighborhood. Lakeshore East Park is a very, very beautiful park. They have probably one of the best dog parks if you like trees and water features and all of that. A lot of people really like it. It was just Easter here. They do Easter egg hunts, they do everything, yoga in the park, all of this stuff. It is so much fun. But there are so many different rental buildings around this neighborhood, but there are a couple of condo buildings, especially along here on Randolph Street, and then the Chandler is a condo building. There's 222 North Columbus. The Aqua building does have rentals on top of the hotel as well as condos, so there is really great opportunity in this area. Now zooming out, we can go even a little further north to my personal favorite neighborhood. This is the neighborhood I live in. I think this is such a fun area, but this is going to be called River North and Streeterville. I'm going to lump these kind of together, as well as, I guess I'll lump all of these. So this is the near north. So see where it says Old Town up here, all the way down to the river, to this kind of river break. There's 4 different micro neighborhoods within this area. So River North, Streeterville, Gold Coast, and Old Town. These are all deemed within that near north neighborhood. Now, I again love this. As you can see, I live right here. But River North is going to be kind of like a development hub that actually kind of really spearheaded the 2000s with a lot of developments. This is where you are going to kind of get a really great kind of feel of work, play, everything that you could want. There's a lot of high rises down in this neighborhood. So if you're looking for high rise, this is going to be your neighborhood. We have studios all the way up to mega properties. This neighborhood also has a lot of lofts. So if you're looking for that loft, the timber loft aesthetic, this is going to be it. Prices in this neighborhood are a little soft right now due to the pandemic. They are starting to catch up. You are going to have a little bit of a higher assessment in here. So if you're looking at your monthly budget, make sure you're taking that into effect. Now, the good thing about that is a lot of these buildings do have amenities. So you're going to have doormen, you're going to have fitness rooms, you may have a pool, stuff like that. Now, this is a working, living kind of neighborhood. You have the red line, which is going to be right here. This is actually the brown line, but the red line is over here where it says Polo. You're going to have grocery stores, you have shopping. Actually, over in this area where it says Ontario Street, this is a furniture hub. So if you're looking for furniture or housing design, this is where this is going to be. And that is literally flagged by the Merchandise Mart, which is the largest square footage of retail space that you are going to find. They used to have trains that come in. It was built in the early 1900s, late 1800s, but it is quintessential Chicago. Also, the river is just quintessential Chicago too. You have the corn cob buildings, and then also our drawbridges are insane. It's really fun watching spring and fall when the boats come back into their docking area. They actually lift all the drawbridges up. It is classic Chicago. It is actually one of the only drawbridges. It was like our custom design that we created in our city, which is super fun. River North is going to be a playground hub for foodies as well. So if you're looking for really great food, this is awesome. So Kinsey Street has a ton. You can see Mercantito. This is one of my favorite Mexican restaurants. Actually, in the city, they have great tacos. But Betts is over here. There's a lot of steakhouses. This is kind of like the nice hot hub for all of that. In the middle of River North and Streeterville, we have Michigan Avenue. Michigan Avenue is considered our magnificent mile. This is all of the flagship stores are right here. It is so fun. It's interesting. There's a lot to kind of do. This is where a lot of our tourists kind of like congregate as well. Now, the west side of River North is going to be a little bit more residential. So even if you're like, hey, I'm on a high rise, but I don't want to be necessarily in the hustle and bustle, we do have sections of River North that are quiet, tree lined. They're close to the parks. You have Montgomery Ward Park right here, which is really kind of a nice like breather. So there is opportunity. Streeterville is going to be newer. This is a newer neighborhood. A lot of high rises are going to be in this neighborhood. This area is going to be a little bit busier. So it is what we say right in between Michigan Avenue, which is our shopping district, and then you have Navy Pier, which is the #1 tourist destination in all of the Midwest. So you're going to see fireworks on the weekends. There's a lot of things going on at Navy Pier almost every day. So a lot of people really, just as a heads up, it's going to be a little bit of a tourist trap. Now, a lot of people really like it because the product of property is really nice. So you can get really new buildings, which are, again, really, really pretty. You're going to typically find a lot of the newer buildings are going to be on the south end, so closer to Ontario and south. Right in this neighborhood where it says the Shirley Ryan Ability, this is going to be really where Northwestern Hospital is. So there's not a ton of condos that are going to be available here. But if you do go up into this neighborhood where it says Delaware Place and Dwight, there are a lot of condo buildings that are going to be right there. The one caveat that I have to say about this neighborhood, it's a little bit darker. So if you want, and it's a little bit more compact, think of New York City. If you like New York, you're gonna like this neighborhood. It is a little darker. There's a lot of vintage, old school condos or co-ops in this area, which is really kind of nice, but there also is a bunch of condos. A little fun fact, if you're right here, right off Chestnut in Delaware, you have 900 and 800, 880, and then 900 and 910 Lakeshore. These are Mies van der Rohe's first residential buildings in the city of Chicago. So if you are a architect buff, this is going to be kind of your fun neighborhood. Also, where 360 is the John Hancock building. That is quintessential. Again, if you're looking at skyline, awesome. If you come up a little bit further, again, we kind of talked about another micro neighborhood of near north, which is the Gold Coast. Gold Coast is probably the most wealthy zip code in the entire country. If we're looking at just Chicago, there is a ton of different types of product. What you're going to find up here is there's a lot of row home mansions that are stunning. They're beautiful. They're a little dark and they're going to be narrow. The one thing that you're going to probably find in this neighborhood is parking is very difficult. We do not have a ton of alleys, which Chicago, we're known for our alleyways. This neighborhood just didn't get it. But that's going to be a really, really awesome. You have the Viagra Triangle. Yes, we call it the Viagra Triangle for certain reasons. We're not going to talk about it on this episode, but this is where Gibson's is. You're going to find Lux Bar. You're going to find a bunch of like quintessential different properties. Actually, I think it's Sparrow is right here. Sparrow is a really cute cocktail bar if you're looking for a little hidden gem. But Maple and Ash right here is actually I think it's the highest grossing steakhouse in the entire country. So if you're looking for a really great steakhouse, this is definitely a stop on your list. You are going to find that the Gold Coast is kind of broken down into kind of like two sections. You have the north side of Gold Coast, which is going to be very, very, very residential. This is going to be the tree-lined streets. It is quiet, it's calm, it's really, really pretty. It's right next to the lake. It's right next to Lincoln Park. It kind of has a little bit of everything. Now, South side is going to be a little bit more high-rise. The other thing we can talk about is Old Town. Old Town is a really great neighborhood as well. It's an artist community. So you're going to find very small streets. It's going to be very kind of compact, but it's going to have a lot of really interesting, fun, unique properties. So think cottages, think artist lofts, think stuff like that. Price points are going to be a little bit higher over here, so just as a heads up. But you do have access to transportation. The Sedgwick Brown Line stop is going to be right here. You can actually even walk over to North and Clybourne. There is also a ton of buses that do run through here. All right. Well, let's move on from kind of like that near north neighborhood. So next we're going to hone in on Lincoln Park. So most people who are moving to the city of Chicago actually think of Lincoln Park because it's tree-lined, it's considered what we call a safe neighborhood. A lot of people really like it. It is like the one neighborhood, if you're like, I'm sorry to stereotype, but if you're a 20-year-old girl, you're like calling me to be like, hey, I want to live in Lincoln Park. It is where DePaul University is. So a lot of people just naturally gravitate towards that. But Lincoln Park really kind of blossomed in the late 80s, early 90s, and has just really put a hold on the city. A lot of people really, really, really like this neighborhood. And there's so many different sub-neighborhoods that you can kind of be in. And it really just depends on who you are and what you're kind of looking for. But in general, it's going to be a really popular place. It is right next to Lincoln Park, which you have the zoo, you have the duck pond, which is right here. There's just, it's kind of just like a fun little outlet. If you are like, hey, I want to live right next to nature, I want to kind of be in the city, but I want nature, this is a really great opportunity. Homes around here range from studios all the way up to single family homes, mega mansions. It really just depends on what you're kind of looking for. If you're looking for a high-rise, high-rises are going to be right along this kind of like Lakeview Avenue area, as well as along the park. If you're looking for a walk-up, you can find those. They're going to be all over this neighborhood, as well as single-family homes. There's townhomes. There's a lot of townhomes actually over here, close to like this Racine and Southport neighborhood, by like West DePaul. There's a lot of single-family homes that are scattered throughout it, but a lot of people really like the cuisine as well. If you go over to Halsted Street, there's a lot of fun, like little restaurants. Cafe Mavavariva is one of Let Us Entertain You. They're a big restaurant group here in the city of Chicago. Classic tapas. I swear to God, everyone goes there. If you're looking for another really great little kind of local neighborhood thing, Let Us Entertain You has Summer House of Santa Monica. Everyone kind of talks about it. My favorite is actually the Willow Room. I take my parents there all the time. It is so good. And also right next to it is Alinea, which Alinea is our 3-star Michelin restaurant. It is an experience. If you haven't been, definitely check it out. It is very, very, very pricey, but definitely worth it at least once in your life. It is literally like watching a theatrical play with food. You have the theater right here, which is Steppenwolf. That is one of our classic Chicago theaters. A lot of people come from there, as well as Second City over here as well, which is our improv. That's where Tina Fey, all of them kind of like got their start and went over to SNL. Molly Shannon, love her. All right, what about this neighborhood? So the boundary for Lincoln Park and Lakeview is going to be Diversey Avenue. That is going to go into our next neighborhood, which is Lakeview. Now, Lakeview is huge, and I apologize, but it is going to be extremely large. It literally takes up so much room, and there are so many different micro neighborhoods. Lakeview is just so fun. You can actually find pretty much anything you want in Lakeview. It encompasses East Lakeview, which is kind of like Boys Town, East Lakeview. There's kind of just like Wrigleyville, which is this area right here where the Wrigley Field is. That neighborhood around it is called Wrigleyville. Then you also have Southport Corridor, which is right here where Southport is. This area is going to be awesome. It's like cute little shopping. And then you also have West Lakeview, which is here. And then it kind of leads into Roscoe Village. So Roscoe Village is going to be very family friendly. There's a lot of single family homes, a lot of condos that are going to be over here. Literally, Lakeview is going to have a little bit of everything for everyone. So this is kind of like the neighborhood that blanket encompasses everybody. So a lot of people really like the area. It's very heavily transportation-wise. So you have both the Red Line coming through here with numerous stops, as well as the Brown Line at Southport, Helena, Addison, Irving Park. A lot of people really like it because you have access to the lake. Now, just as a heads up, this area does not have any beaches. So if you're a beach connoisseur, this is not going to be the neighborhood. It is literally a concrete barrier that is going to kind of be right there. No. So many different great things. Whole Foods is right here. They just built this new one. Lincoln Avenue has a ton of really fun stuff on it as well. Again, just kind of like everything. So if you have questions on this neighborhood, it's just a fun area. You can find vintage units, you can find single family homes, you can find townhomes along the lake. There are high rises that are going to be there. You can get a duplex down, you can get a penthouse unit with a roof deck. There is a lot of new construction coming in here. There's very few lofts if you're looking for a loft, but it does have opportunities if you are looking for it. All right. So moving north, which is what we do, is Uptown. So Uptown is actually, it incorporates all the way up to here where it says Foster, and then it goes down to Irving Park. And so it is actually a pretty large neighborhood as well. It goes all the way over here to the kind of like the train stop. There are micro neighborhoods. Buena Park is an awesome little mini micro neighborhood that a lot of people really like. It's going to be super residential. If you're looking in Uptown, you're probably going to need to love vintage units. There are going to be a ton of them in this like Sheridan Park area where it says Harry Truman College is just a really beautiful, there's historic streets. Dover Street is actually a historic preserved street. Really big lots. You get a lot of space in Uptown. Now, the thing about Uptown is it is kind of like a transitioning neighborhood as well. So just understand that because of that, the pricing is actually very, very low in comparison to a lot of the other north side neighborhoods. So you are kind of getting that spillover effect coming into it, which is giving you really great opportunities. But heading further north is Edgewater. So again, Edgewater is another really big neighborhood. It's going to go all the way up to Devon Street on the north side, and then Foster Street on the south side, and it goes all the way over here to kind of like this metro line as well. Now, Edgewater is very affordable unless you're looking in Andersonville. Andersonville is actually one of the hottest neighborhoods that was deemed in 2022. So it is in the nation. So it is one of those like quintessential destinations that a lot of people really like. This is one of our second neighborhoods as well, which is really kind of beautiful. It used to be the old Swedish district. It's going to have really cute shopping and like little just like great food, little shopping, mom and pop shops. It's also a design district, so you're going to see a lot of furniture because it used to be the old Swedish district. And you can also find a lot of like vintage like resale shops up here, which is really kind of fun. If you're looking for high rises, we actually do have a ton of properties that are right along the lake. If you want to be right on the lake, this is the only opportunity that you can have in the entire city, because typically there is natural parks and public space in between every single building and the lake, except for in Edgewater. So if you're looking along Sheridan Road, that is going to get you as close to the lake as possible outside of the only other building, which is 505 North Lakeshore. Now, due to that, a lot of them were also built in the late 80s, late 70s, late 80s. So they are going to be older buildings. The nice thing is you do get a lot of square footage, but the assessments are going to be a little bit higher. So do understand that as well. The purchase prices are going to be a lot lower. So you will find that. Now, there are a bunch of other different micro neighborhoods, Magnolia and Glen, Edgewater Glen. You're going to find a lot of single family homes, but you're also going to find vintage properties. The vintage properties are going to be a little bit older, so you may see radiator heat more frequently. But the great thing about this neighborhood is it's tree lined. It is really convenient. It's super, super residential. There's a lot of single family homes that are going to be older single family homes, but you can also find a lot of vintage buildings, which gives you a lot more space. Now, going up, so that's Edgewater. Also, by the way, if you're looking for a really good cocktail bar, this Nobody's Darling has a James Beard nominee. It is also lesbian owned. Definitely try it out. One of my favorite cocktail bars in the city. Rogers Park is our next neighborhood. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit because Rogers Park is really large. Rogers Park actually incorporates Westridge as well. So Rogers Park / Westridge. This is the furthest north that you're going to be in the city. So once you cross this kind of like cemetery, like Howard area, that is when you get into Evanston. So that's when you get into the suburbs. But Rogers Park has a ton of kind of great little micro neighborhoods. One of my favorite is kind of like by this Devon Street, which is Little India. The pricing around here is so ridiculously cheap, but you get really great units. It is one of the hidden gems of the city. You have Warren Park right here, which Warren Park is actually the largest park outside of Lincoln Park in the entire city. So it's really cool. They have an ice skating rink. They have batting cages. They also have a golf course. Really kind of fun. And Indian Boundary Park is so quaint and cute. It has little ponds, all of that. And then this area also has some of the cutest bungalow streets ever. But so you can, Rogers Park, essentially you can get townhomes, you can get single family homes, you can get a lot of vintage. So if you're looking for square footage and big properties for a low price, this is kind of your neighborhood that you're going to kind of want to look for. There are pockets of it, so that have awesome kind of shopping and restaurants, including Clark Street. Clark Street is in Chicago. Diagonal streets anywhere in the city typically have a lot of commercial space. So I look at those streets because that's where you're gonna kind of want to gravitate towards. But you do have a lot of courtyard buildings, a lot of larger vintage buildings, especially on the east side of this. There's not going to be high rises over here, so to just understand that if you're going to want a high rise, you're going to want to be more in Edgewater if you're running the price. All right, let's zoom out. Another neighborhood that we do a lot of business in and a lot of people really love is going to be Lincoln Square in Ravenswood. This area right here where it says Ravenswood Gardens, there's no sign right here, but it's Ravenswood Manor. Ravenswood Manor is literally one of my favorite neighborhoods in the entire city. I don't know if I would live there personally because it is a little kind of out of the way, but just walk through it. It is right along the river. It's so cute. It's all these old vintage bungalows that are $1 million plus. So awesome. But a lot of people really like this Lincoln Square area, Ravenswood, all of it. You have Horner Park, you have Gideon Wells Park, a lot of green space around this. They do have a running path and a biking path all along the river, which a lot of people really like because when you go further west, you get away from the lake. And so a lot of people are really attracted to the water. So being on the river, you can actually have some opportunity there. Now, there's some really great restaurants. You can really find a lot of different types of property. You're gonna find a lot of single family homes as well as multi-unit homes in this neighborhood. There are a bunch of condos as well, so depending on what you're looking for. Typically they start with 1 bedrooms, so no studios in this neighborhood. But pricing can be a little bit higher depending on what you're looking for, just because the school districts are going to be really good in this neighborhood as well. You do have access to transportation, so you have the Brown line that kind of feeds into everything. And there's, again, just a lot of really good food. The Warbler is one of my favorites. Obviously, it's always highlighted on here, but even Lincoln Square is kind of just really fun. There's a quaint fountain in the middle. With an old school square. All right, let's go down to Albany Park. I'll kind of lump in Albany Park, Mayfair, and North Mayfair. So this is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the entire city. It kind of starts at Kenzie. So this street right here, they'll go down to, it's typically Montrose, and then over to the highway. Now, Mayfair and North Mayfair have really good school districts, which is sometimes most people forget about. So it is one of those neighborhoods where I say don't discount it. A lot of people just don't think about it, but it has access to pretty much everything in the city. There's not really, you're kind of in this middle where you're not around transportation, so sometimes that is a key factor in this neighborhood. So just understand if you do need transportation, this may be a little off the beaten path. You do have the blue line, which goes at Montrose right there, and then you have access to the brown line, but this is a fringe neighborhood. It's an up-and-coming neighborhood. So if you are a little bit more of a riskier person and you're like, hey, I want a really good price on a really great property, this is a really great area to kind of explore. Like I said, Albany Park is actually one of the most diverse neighborhoods. You are going to find cuisine from all walks of life, which is really great. There's single-family homes, there's multi-family homes. You can get really great condos there as well. But like I said, the price point is what really drives this neighborhood. It is very, very, very affordable. And also you have access to tons of parks, tree-lined streets, everything that you could kind of want. So heading west, let's focus on kind of like our northwest side. So I'm going to kind of clump the northwest side all together because there's not really much of a difference between the neighborhoods over in this area. The ones that I typically have a lot of clients who really like to be in is Jefferson Park, Forest, Glen. This Union Ridge has really good school districts. A lot of cops, city workers live in this neighborhood, firefighters. As well as Portage Park and then Belmont Cragen. These are a ton of single family homes. That is going to be your quintessential if you're looking for a single family home in a pretty decent price point, so like $600,000 or less. This is the neighborhood that you're going to want to be in. It's very residential, so there's not a ton to do, but there are those tried and true like destination spaces that you like think about in this area. So like mom and pop like restaurants that you would just go to. Portage Park itself is so pretty. I definitely say check it out. It is definitely a destination. Portage Park, I feel like, has been really, really popular. The school districts in Portage Park are a little softer than what you're going to find in Jefferson Park, so there is going to be a little bit of a price difference, but I feel like a lot of our clients have been navigating towards Portage Park just due to the price points. And I also have a lot of people who are kind of going a little bit further south. Now, you can also find the same thing over in this Irving Park area. So Irving Park is kind of another big neighborhood. It kind of has Old Irving Park and then Irving Park, which is separated by the highway. Old Irving Park is classic old school Chicago homes. It is so pretty over in this neighborhood. I definitely say walk around. You are going to find tree-lined streets. It's just like these big houses on these big lots. So if you're looking for yard space, this is going to be your neighborhood. Now pricing can get up there, so just as a heads up, you're going to want to be aware of that, but it is also just a really great residential neighborhood. It does have access to the trains, which all of these do. So the blue line runs along, as well as you can see here with Gladstone Park and Irving Park. These are metro stations, so these are coming in. And they go straight down into the city. So let's get into the fun neighborhoods, which is really Avondale, Logan Square, kind of these fun areas. This is where everything is kind of exploding. What we call the Milwaukee corridor. So this like diagonal street, remember I said earlier, diagonal streets are where everything is in the city. Everything in Chicago is parallel and perpendicular, and so if you have a diagonal street, you hit a ton of different neighborhoods. So it's a commercial thoroughway. Now, Logan Square is awesome. It's kind of like bleeding over from Wicker Park and Bucktown, which was pricing has gotten really expensive, and so now Logan Square is kind of going over. Single family homes, condos, you're going to find a lot of multifamily homes as well. There is a ton of great restaurants that are coming into this neighborhood. It is kind of like this one area that's like super exploding right now. We're seeing pricing go through the roof, which is awesome. So it's a very big, growing neighborhood, kind of in this like whole vicinity. just south of the highway, north, like west of Western Avenue. Most people say West Bucktown is right over here. It is actually Logan Square, so don't feed into that. Bucktown was really expensive, so that's how they got pricing up in Logan Square. Westtown is kind of a bigger neighborhood, so this is just north of that West Loop area. This is encompassing Wicker Park, Bucktown, Ukrainian Village, Noble Square, Eckhart Park. There's a ton of different micro neighborhoods in here. A lot of people really love this neighborhood. It is, again, flagged by Milwaukee, which has a ton of restaurants, shopping, everything that you could want. But a lot of people also really like the fact that you have the blue line right there, which is, if we zoom in, it's these stops. So you have Western, you have Damon Avenue, you have Chicago Avenue. A lot of people really like this neighborhood. The reason why: you have really good restaurants, you have parks, it is tree lined. The pricing was a lot less expensive because the schools weren't as great in comparison to like Lincoln Park as well as Lakeview. So a lot of people started gravitating here. It's a very big art community, so a lot of artists were moving into this neighborhood, or kind of moving out because pricing is kind of going away. But it's like hipster vibe, just like fun. Think Brooklyn, that stuff. Pretty much from a housing stock standpoint, you can find anything. So condos, single family homes, townhomes, everything. Pricing is all over the place. Typically 1-bedrooms are starting around $250,000, and then pricing can go up to $2 million for a single family home. Bucktown is going to have a little bit more smaller lots. So it was a cottage like kind of neighborhood, an old Polish neighborhood. So just understand that. All right. So that is essentially all the North Side neighborhoods. So guys, just want to say thank you so much for spending the time going through our Google Maps neighborhood overview. Now, we always want you to participate with us. We have a bunch of neighborhood videos that are coming about. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button so then you know when all of our new videos are coming out, and explore the neighborhoods with us, because we want to get out and about with you and show you the ins and outs of each neighborhood and what Chicago has to offer, including our tips and tricks. So come on, explore with us, and we will talk to you shortly and help you live your Chicago lifestyle.